Cowboys Nation has barely had time to catch its breath, and already the landscape around the team is shifting in a big way over the past day. The conversation across the league took a sharp turn when New York made a major move on the sideline. The Giants locking in John Harbaugh as their new head coach instantly changes the balance of power in the division from a pure football standpoint. It is hard to argue against it. This is one of the most proven leaders available, someone who brings instant credibility, structure, and competitiveness to a franchise that has been searching for stability. Whether fans like it or not, New York just became a much tougher out. And that reality now sits right in front of Dallas when you look at the division as a whole. The head coaching picture suddenly feels a lot more intense. The NFC East now features established voices with strong identities. And that puts pressure on every staff to be sharp and intentional. For the Cowboys, this matters because every move they make right now is being judged not just internally, but against what rivals are doing. Coaching hires are no longer theoretical discussions. They are weapons, and the Giants just added a big one to their arsenal. That brings us straight back to Dallas and the defensive coordinator search, which continues to expand rather than narrow. The Cowboys are clearly in exploration mode, and that has created both excitement and anxiety among fans. One important thing to understand is that just because Dallas interviews a candidate early does not mean that candidate is off the board for other teams. Defensive minds are in high demand right now, and overlap is unavoidable. Multiple franchises are chasing the same pool of talent, which means patience is not just helpful, it is mandatory. A good example of this dynamic is the situation involving Charlie Bullen. Dallas has requested an interview with him, and that request is moving forward because of his interim status. That detail matters more than people realize, since he does not hold a permanent title. His current team cannot block the conversation from Dallas' perspective. This is about gathering information, understanding philosophy, and seeing how different voices might fit into the bigger picture. From the Giants' side, there is also interest in continuity, which means Bullen could remain there in a different role even if he is not named defensive coordinator. These situations are fluid, and nothing is locked in until contracts are signed. What this really highlights is how crowded the market is. There are at least 11 defensive coordinator openings across the league, and that number could grow depending on how head coaching hires shake out. When that many teams are shopping at the same time, it becomes unrealistic to expect a clean, linear process. Interviews overlap, timelines clash, and teams are forced to juggle availability. Dallas is right in the middle of that storm. As the days go by, the list of names connected to the Cowboys keeps growing. One of the more recent additions is DeMarcus Covington, currently with Green Bay, where he works with the defensive line and coordinates the run defense. His background is interesting, especially considering his previous experience running a defense at the professional level. His units were not the problem during his earlier coordinator stint, and his long history working under strong defensive leadership has shaped his approach. He also brings college coaching experience, something Dallas has quietly valued as they evaluate candidates who can teach, develop, and adapt. This growing list tells us something important about how the Cowboys are handling this search. This is not a token process. This is not about checking boxes and quickly settling on a familiar name. Dallas is casting a wide net, and that is a significant shift from how things have been done in the past. For years, coaching searches were short, predictable, and heavily influenced by comfort and familiarity. This time, there is a clear effort to explore different systems, backgrounds, and personalities before narrowing the field. Of course, a better process does not automatically guarantee better results. That part still has to play out on the field. But there is value in acknowledging that step one looks different and arguably more serious than what fans have grown used to. The Cowboys are taking meetings, asking questions, and allowing themselves the chance to be challenged rather than rushing toward a pre-selected outcome. No conversation about this search feels complete without addressing the name that continues to dominate discussion: Brian Flores. Around the league, he is widely viewed as one of the most impactful defensive minds available. His track record speaks for itself, and his ability to elevate units regardless of talent level has made him a top target wherever there is an opening. That is exactly why the absence of a confirmed interview with Dallas has raised eyebrows. It is important to understand just how competitive this situation is. Flores is not simply choosing between defensive coordinator jobs. There is a very real chance that he ends up with a head coaching opportunity, and if that happens, Every coordinator discussion becomes irrelevant, even if that does not materialize. Multiple teams would be willing to fight hard to bring him in, including the organization he is already with. That kind of leverage changes everything. From Dallas' perspective, the lack of immediate movement does not necessarily mean a lack of interest. One theory is that the Cowboys are intentionally separating the process into phases. So far, every interview they have conducted has been virtual. This first stage appears focused on broad evaluation, allowing the front office and coaching staff to gather information and identify which candidates warrant deeper in-person discussions later on. That is a very different approach than jumping straight into high-profile, time-intensive meetings. When you think about it from the candidate side, this approach makes sense for someone like Brian Flores or other top-tier coaches with multiple opportunities. A preliminary virtual interview may not be the priority. These coaches can afford to wait, especially if head coaching roles are still on the table. Dallas may be positioning itself to engage those names later, once the field narrows and the timing aligns. Better for everyone involved. The contrast with other teams is noticeable. Some organizations have already moved aggressively into in-person interviews and have filled major staff positions quickly. Dallas is not operating on that same timeline, and that difference has fueled frustration. But context matters. The Cowboys are entering territory they have not explored in a long time. Conducting a truly open search requires more groundwork, more conversations, and more patience than fans are accustomed to seeing. The bigger picture here is that the Cowboys are navigating a league-wide coaching shuffle that could impact nearly half the teams in the NFL. As coordinators get promoted and staffs reshuffle, opportunities will open and close rapidly. Every top candidate is aware of that, and every front office is trying to time its moves carefully. Dallas is no exception, and the decisions being made now will shape the identity of this defense for years to come. As this process stretches forward, the tension around Dallas only continues to rise because this is unfamiliar territory for the franchise. For more than a decade, the Cowboys rarely conducted expansive coaching searches. Decisions were often quick, driven by internal comfort, long-standing relationships, or a belief that the right answer was already in the building. This time feels different, and that difference is what has everyone watching so closely. A wide-ranging search forces the organization to confront new ideas, new personalities, and potentially uncomfortable conversations about culture, control, and accountability. That is where the discussion around Brian Flores becomes especially layered. Beyond his scheme and results, Flores represents a specific type of leadership. His reputation is built on intensity, discipline, and demanding standards. For some organizations, that is exactly what they want. For others, it can challenge existing power structures and establish norms. In Dallas, where comfort and continuity have often been prioritized, the question is not just whether Flores is qualified, but whether the organization is fully prepared for what he brings with him. One theory circulating is that hesitation is less about football and more about fit at the highest levels. Flores has a strong presence and his voice carries weight. That can be a positive, but it can also create friction in environments where decision-making has traditionally flowed in a specific direction. This idea cannot be proven unless Dallas ultimately engages him directly, but it is part of why his name sparks so much debate among fans and analysts alike. There is also a more practical explanation that cannot be ignored. Timing matters. Right now, the Cowboys appear firmly in the first phase of their search, gathering information through virtual meetings and building a comprehensive picture of the candidate pool. Jumping ahead to in-person interviews with the most in-demand coaches could disrupt that structure. It could also put Dallas at a disadvantage if those coaches are still weighing head coaching opportunities or waiting to see how the broader market develops. From a strategic standpoint, waiting can be smart as head coaching hires are finalized. The coordinator market will shift. Some candidates will become unavailable, while others will suddenly be open to new roles. Dallas positioning itself as patient and thorough could allow them to strike at the right moment, rather than forcing a decision too early and missing out on better options. What cannot be overlooked is how competitive this cycle is going to become. There are already numerous teams preparing to hire new defensive coordinators, and that number is expected to grow. As more openings appear, top candidates gain leverage. They can choose environments that align with their goals, whether that is control, resources, or a clear path to advancement. Dallas must present itself as a destination that offers more than just brand recognition. That means clarity of vision will be critical. Whoever steps into this role will need to understand exactly what is expected, how much autonomy they will have, and how their voice will be integrated into the broader coaching structure. A strong defensive coordinator does not simply install a scheme, he shapes weekly game plans, develops young talent, and sets the tone for accountability on that side of the ball. Dallas cannot afford ambiguity here. Another element adding complexity is the presence of multiple high-level candidates who may not view the defensive coordinator role as a long-term destination. For some, this position is a stepping stone back to head coaching opportunities. That reality impacts how negotiations unfold and how teams evaluate fit. Dallas has to decide whether it is comfortable with a coordinator who might be gone in a year or two if success comes quickly. At the same time, there is an argument to be made that short-term excellence is better than long-term stagnation. A defense that performs at a high level can transform a team's trajectory. Even if the architect eventually moves on, the Cowboys have seen firsthand how defensive identity can elevate the entire roster. And finding the right leader to sustain that identity is the priority. As fans track every reported interview and rumor, it is easy to lose sight of the larger context. This is not just about filling a vacancy, this is about defining what the Cowboys want to be defensively in a division that is becoming more competitive and more physical. With coaching upgrades happening around them, standing still is not an option. The reality is that this search will likely test the patience of the fan base. There will be moments of silence, moments of speculation, and moments where it feels like other teams are moving faster, but speed does not always equal success. The Cowboys are attempting something they have not done in a long time, and that comes with uncertainty. Every interview, whether virtual or in person, adds another piece to the puzzle. Each candidate brings a different philosophy, communication style, and approach to player development. Dallas has to weigh all of that against its own internal dynamics and long-term goals. That is not a simple equation, and there are no guarantees. What is clear is that the next defensive coordinator will have a massive influence on how this team competes moving forward. In a league where margins are thin and adjustments decide games, the right voice in that role can be the difference between another frustrating exit and a legitimate championship push. The Cowboys know that, which is why this process, as uncomfortable as it may feel, is being treated with unusual seriousness. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing, and this time all eyes are on Washington as whispers suggest a seismic shift in the NFC East could be underway after a recent stumble that saw the Eagles falter and the Cowboys capitalize with a win. Insiders hint that the Commanders may be preparing to make a move that could redefine their offense entirely. At the center of this speculation is none other than Terry McLaurin, whose name has been circulating in trade talks and locker room chatter as a potential game changer. McLaurin, widely regarded as one of the league's most dynamic wide receivers, is rumored to be in discussions that could see him don a new jersey, bringing his speed, route precision, and explosive playmaking ability to a team eager for a spark. Sources close to the situation suggest that Washington's front office sees McLaurin as the missing piece in an offense that has struggled for consistency, especially against high-pressure defenses. If the rumors hold any weight, his arrival could force defensive coordinators across the league to rethink their strategies when facing the Commanders. The speculation gains extra weight given the contrasting fortunes of the Eagles and Cowboys. Wow! Philadelphia's stumble has left fans questioning the durability of their squad. Dallas' latest performance has only heightened expectations. Analysts argue that a player of McLaurin's caliber joining Washington could instantly alter the balance of power in the division. The potential impact isn't just limited to yardage and touchdowns. His presence could elevate the play of quarterbacks, open opportunities for other receivers, and inject a level of confidence that's been missing in critical moments. Whispers from sources suggest that negotiations are delicate but active, with multiple teams monitoring every development. McLaurin's competitive spirit, combined with his ability to shine in high-pressure situations, makes him an ideal candidate to revitalize an offense-seeking identity and consistency. Should this move materialize, the ripple effects would be felt across the NFC East, forcing rivals to adapt quickly or risk falling behind in a division already defined by intense rivalries and unpredictable outcomes. For now, fans and pundits alike can only speculate. But if the rumors are true, Washington may be on the brink of one of the boldest offensive shakeups the league has seen in years. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.